I just had a 22-pound tumor removed from my stomach. The doctors actually say if I caught this a few months later, I might not be here today. But then when I get back to work, this girl from a different department says, "Oh, you finally had that fat loss surgery." See, what I didn't tell you guys is I lost like 40 pounds over 5 weeks because of this surgery. And she's going around telling everybody I had bypass surgery to get rid of my weight and I'm a cheater because I didn't do it the right way. Yeah, so I went to HR and HR is telling me they're not going to take any sort of action against her. So I have to take it into my own hands. I got one of my bosses on my side and we came up with a plan. Let me tell you what I'm thinking. I'm 31 and I just got back to the office after being out for 5 weeks on emergency medical leave. I know the title sounds horrible, but please hear me out because I'm genuinely at a loss here, and my husband thinks I might be overreacting, so here's what happened. About 6 weeks ago, I went in for what I thought would be a routine appointment with my, doctor. I've been having some digestive issues for years, like since I was 23, and every doctor I'd seen just told me to lose weight, eat fiber, try yoga, usual crap. My new doctor, bless her, actually listened to me, describe my symptoms, and immediately ordered an ultrasound. She said something felt off when she examined my abdomen. The ultrasound tech's face went white halfway through the scan, and she excused herself to get the radiologist. Long story short, they found a massive growth in my abdomen. We're talking 22 pounds of benign tissue that had been growing for probably a decade, wrapping around my liver and pressing onto my intestines. See, the radiologist called my doctor while I was still at the table, and I was admitted to the hospital that afternoon, and surgery happened 36 hours later. The surgery itself was so intense, they had to remove this enormous mass plus my gallbladder, which was apparently crushed beyond repair. Fix a hernia, they discovered, and some sort of restructure of my intestinal placement. See, my surgeon said I was probably 2 weeks away from complete intestinal blockage. The whole thing took 7 hours. Recovery has been brutal, but hey, I'm here, which apparently was not guaranteed if I waited longer. Here's where things get complicated. Because they removed so much internal mass and had to reconstruct my abdomen, I went from wearing a size 18 to a size 10 in literally 5 weeks. It was jarring as hell. None of my clothes fit, and I had to buy an entire new work wardrobe from Goodwill because I couldn't afford to replace everything at once. And honestly, I'm still processing the fact that doctors ignored a 22-pound tumor for 8 years because they thought that I was just fat and lazy. Okay, some background so we can hop into the story more. Let me tell you about Madison. She works in our accounting department while I'm in IT infrastructure, so we barely interact. Our paths cross maybe once a month at an all-hands-on-deck type of meeting, but Madison has a, reputation. She runs this wellness coaching side business, not affiliated with our company at all, and is constantly trying to recruit people. She brings her green smoothie every meeting and makes these passive-aggressive comments when people eat donuts at office celebrations. You know the type. Posting these nothing tastes as good as skinny, quotes on the break room bulletin board, and leaves Weight Watcher flyers on people's desk. Yeah, she's that person. I'd actually had one run-in with Madison 2 years ago at the company picnic. I was eating a hot dog at a picnic, mind you. Oh, sue me. And she came up to me and starts explaining how processed meat causes cancer, and offered to help me make better choices. I just smiled and took another bite while maintaining eye contact. She huffed off, and we had not spoken since. The thing is, Madison herself has been very open about her own weight loss journey. She lost like 60 pounds 5 years ago and never stops talking about it, which good for her. But she acts like she discovered the secret to internal life and everyone else is just lazy to follow her blessed path. She runs these 5 a.m. boot camps in the company gym and sends out weekly emails to the entire staff about Motivation Monday. You know, with before and after photos of herself. My first day back was a Tuesday. I'll never forget it. It was January the 9th. Ugh. I'd specifically asked my manager, Tyler, to keep the details of my leave private. All anybody needed to know was that I had emergency surgery, and I'm recovering. Tyler is great. He's been nothing but supportive through this whole ordeal. Guys, he even arranged for me to come back part-time for the first 2 weeks to ease back into the flow. So, let me just jump into the rising action. I get to the office at 9 o'clock. A little past 9, I went to the Starbucks. I remember because I was worried about being late for the 10 a.m. stand-up. I was getting coffee in the break room after I already guzzled down my first coffee from Starbucks when Madison walks in. She literally stopped mid-stride, looked at me up and down, and said, "Oh my god, Haley, you did it. You finally took my advice." I was confused, and just said something like, "Sorry, what are you talking about?" She gets this huge smile and says, "You got the surgery, the gastric bypass. I mean, I always recommended trying natural methods first, but hey, I guess some people just don't have the willpower. At least you finally admit you have a problem." I was literally speechless. Before I could even respond, she starts going on about how I should have come to her first, how surgery is, cheating, and how I'm going to gain it all back within a year because I took the easy way out. She actually used the phrase, mutilating yourself, at one point. Guys, I just stood there holding my coffee, feeling my surgical incision pulling because I wasn't supposed to be standing for long periods yet. I finally managed to say, "Madison, I had emergency surgery for a medical condition. It wasn't weight loss surgery." She literally laughs and said, "Sure, honey, that's what they all say. It's okay. You don't have to be embarrassed. Though you should be prepared for the excess skin. I have a great surgeon for that when you're ready." I just walked out of there. I just turned around and walked straight to my desk, coffee still forgotten, my hand shaking so bad I could barely type, and Tyler noticed and asked, "Are you okay?" I told him what happened, and he looked furious and said, "Oh, he's handling it." Apparently, Tyler went to Madison's manager, Brooke, that afternoon. Brooke supposedly talked to Madison about appropriate workplace behavior. I thought that would be the end of it, no big deal. So 2 days later. It's a Thursday now. I was eating lunch at my desk, a protein shake and some crackers. Literally all I could manage with my healing digestive system, and when Madison appeared in my cubicle, she placed a printed stack of papers next to my keyboard. It was a 47-page printout about post-surgery nutrition guidelines with sticky notes throughout the marking sections about preventing weight regain and dealing with addiction transfer. "I know you're probably scared. Most people who get this surgery gain it all back because, well, they don't address the underlying issue. I'm here for you if you want to do this the right way." I stood up too fast, which hurt like hell, and said, "Madison, I need you to leave now." She took her head sadly and said, "Denial is the first stage. I'll be here when you're ready to be, well, the real deal." That night, I couldn't sleep much. I kept thinking about all those years of doctors dismissing my pain, telling me to lose weight, ignoring my symptoms, and one doctor literally told me my abdominal pain was because fat takes up space and suggested Jenny Craig. Meanwhile, I had a tumor, the size of a watermelon, slowly crushing my organs. Hello? The next Monday, which was January the 15th at this point, was when things really escalated. There was a department meeting. I couldn't go to it because I had a follow-up with my surgeon at 2 o'clock. According to 3 different coworkers who texted me, Madison spent literally 15 minutes of the meeting ranting about me. Chase, who's on my team, sent me a play-by-play. A legit ear-by-ear. Apparently, Madison told everyone that I was promoting unhealthy shortcuts and that my instant transformation was setting a dangerous example. She said, and I'm quoting Chase's text here, "If someone can't commit to their health, how can we trust them to commit to their work? It shows a fundamental character flaw." Well, this is when Logan, from networking, he told me Madison actually pulled up my LinkedIn profile on the conference room screen to show old photos of me saying things like she's been struggling with her weight for years, and instead of doing the work, she took the easy way out. Our department head, who was running the entire meeting, apparently had to tell her 3 times to stop and get back on topic. Brooke wasn't in that meeting, but when she heard about it, she calls up HR. And that's when everything went to hell. On January the 17th, I get an email from HR saying I need to attend a session with Madison. And our company's, they're getting called for mediation is serious. It goes on the record and can affect your annual bonus and promotion eligibility, and so I immediately called Tyler, who was just as confused as I was. He hadn't recommended this at all, neither had Brooke. So the mediation was scheduled for January the 19th. I almost didn't go. I was still having post-surgical fatigue, and I can only sit upright for an hour at a time, and the thought of being in a room with Madison made me feel physically ill. But Tyler said it would look worse if I didn't go. So, this HR generalist, this guy fresh out of college who's been with the company 6 months, started the meeting by saying, "Well, we're here to resolve the interpersonal conflict between Haley and Madison regarding body image triggers in the workplace." I said, "I'm sorry, what?" Madison immediately starts to cry. Yeah, she said, "Seeing your dramatic weight loss has been extremely triggering for my eating disorder recovery. You should have warned me before you came back to work looking like that. It's been affecting my mental health and my ability to do my job." The HR guy nodded sympathetically and turned to me and said, "Haley, while we can't require you to disclose your medical information, it might help if you explain to Madison what kind of surgery you had. It could actually clear the air." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I said, "Are you seriously asking me to share private medical information because, Miss Madison has made assumptions about my body?" "It's not assumptions when the evidence is there. You disappeared for 5 weeks and came back half the size. What else could it be?" I looked at the HR guy. I said, "Okay. I had an emergency surgery for a life-threatening medical condition. That's all you need to know." Well, he actually had the audacity to reply with, "Oh, well, if you're not willing to be transparent, we can't stop Madison from feeling this way. Maybe you could agree to give her advance notice before you come into the office so she can prepare herself mentally." I stood up to leave, and this Madison had the audacity to say, "This is exactly what I'm talking about. She's not taking responsibility for her choices. It affects others. If she can lie about this, what else is she lying about?" So I lost it. I lost it, all right. 3 weeks of surgical recovery, years of medical trauma, and this absolute crap came pouring out. I said, "You want to know what happened, Madison? Fine. I had a 22-pound tumor removed from my abdomen, 22 pounds of tissue that was crushing my organ. I was 2 weeks away from death. That means dying. It had nothing to do with weight loss, nothing to do with your toxic wellness obsession, and absolutely nothing to do with you." Madison's face went red and she said, "Oh, that's convenient. A tumor that just happened to make you lose weight. How stupid do you think I look?" Well, I think you're so obsessed with weight and bodies that you don't comprehend that not everything is about that. See, I have a 14-inch scar all the way across my stomach. I can't lift anything over 10 pounds. I can't eat solid food without pain. But sure, Madison, I did this for vanity." The HR guy tried to interject, "Oh, ladies, please." And Madison cuts him off, of course, saying she's lying. No tumor makes you lose that much weight that fast. She got bypass surgery and she's embarrassed about it. I pulled up my shirt just enough to show the bottom of my scar. "Does this look like gastric bypass surgery to you?" Madison actually recoiled and said, "You're being inappropriate now." "Oh, inappropriate. Listen, you've been harassing me about my body since the day I came back. You've told multiple people that I'm a liar and uncommitted me to work, and you derailed an entire department meeting to discuss my medical leave." Yeah, this is when the HR dude stands up and he's like, I think we need to have a table discussion. Clearly emotions are running high. Haley, maybe you should consider working from home for a while until things cool down." Oh, so Madison harasses me about my medical condition, and your solution is to punish me by making me work from home. Oh, it's not a punishment, it's a conflict resolution. So guys, that whole nightmare was exactly 2 weeks ago. I did end up working from home, not because HR suggested it, but because my doctor was concerned about my stress levels affecting my recovery. She wrote me ADA recommendation, paperwork for remote work, which HR tried to deny at first, saying my job requires in-person collaboration. Tyler had to get involved and point out that I've been doing my job remotely for 3 weeks already with no issue. Madison, meanwhile, has not stopped. She emails me almost daily with helpful resources, links to workout videos, meal plans, inspirational quotes about taking responsibility for your gut health. I've forwarded every single one to HR, and their response is always the same. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. When do you plan to return to the office? So last Tuesday, she emailed me with a chain of emails to the entire department about forming a workplace wellness committee to support colleagues making major health changes. The email included a not-so-subtle reference to recent transformations in our department and the need for accountability partners. Yeah, so Tyler and Brooke have been going to bat for me. Brooke actually put Madison on performance improvement plan for the time that she's spending on non-work related activities, but Madison seems to think that she's on some kind of crusade. Then 3 days ago, things get so much worse. Madison found my Instagram, which is private, but apparently she convinced someone to show it to her, and saw a post of my husband making about my surgery and recovery. He posted a photo of me in the hospital. It had a long caption about how scared he'd been and how grateful he was that the tumor was found in time. Guys, Madison screenshotted this and sent it to the entire account and IT department with a subject line that said transparency in the workplace. The email said, "Since some people want to create elaborate stories about their medical procedures, I thought everybody should see the truth." See, notice how there's no mention of which type of surgery this was? Very convenient. I just want everyone to make informed decisions about their health and not be fooled by deceptive marketing and dangerous shortcuts. So, the fake question, right? Here's where I need judgment. Tyler and Brooke think that I should get a lawyer involved. My husband is ready to show up at the office and handle this himself. He won't actually do that, but he was furious. My doctor is concerned enough about my stress levels that she wants to extend my remote work accommodation for a whole nother month. Part of me thinks maybe I should have just told Madison from the beginning what kind of surgery I had. Like, would it have hurt me to just say, hey, I had a tumor removed on day 1? Maybe she would have backed off and none of this would have happened. I know she has her own issues with food and weight. She's been open about her past eating disorder. Maybe seeing my sudden weight shift really was an alarming thing for her, and I should have been more sensitive, right? But also, hey, why is my medical history any of her darn business? Why should I have to share traumatic medical details with a coworker I barely know just because she made an assumption? And even if I had gotten weight loss surgery, so what? Why does that give her the right to harass me? I'm considering filing a formal complaint with corporate. We're a subsidiary of a larger company and potentially getting a lawyer involved, and Madison's behavior is making my recovery harder. I'm stressed all the time, I can't sleep, I barely eat, and my doctor says the stress is slowing my healing and raising my blood pressure. But I also don't want to be the person who sues their company over interpersonal drama. I actually love my job. So, Madison clearly has her own issues she's dealing with, and maybe I should be more understanding, right? My husband says that I'm being too nice, I'm being a nice guy, and that Madison is creating a hostile work environment and I don't owe her crap. He points out that if a male coworker was obsessing over my body like this, nobody would question whether I should take legal action. Oh, but Madison frames everything as being about health and wellness, so it feels more complicated. Tyler told me yesterday that Madison is starting telling people that I'm refusing to come back to the office, and I'm manipulating the system with fake medical accommodations, and she's apparently told the new junior developer that I'm an example of what happens when people can't handle accountability. and that he should be careful about getting too close to toxic colleagues like me. I'm exhausted. I'm supposed to be focusing on recovering from a major surgery, and instead I'm dealing with this absolute circus. Well, guys, my surgeon says I'm not healing as quickly as expected, probably due to this whole mess. I've had to increase my pain medication because the stress is causing tension in the abdomen, and I hate feeling this loopy. So, am I the a-hole if I escalate this to corporate and potentially get lawyers involved? Should I just suck it up, Buttercup, and go back to the office and prove I'm not hiding from anything? Or should I have been upfront about my surgery from the get-go to avoid all this drama? I genuinely can't tell if I'm overreacting because I'm still emotional from everything. Or if Madison's behavior is as insane as it feels. My mother thinks that I should just find a new job, but I've been with this company for almost a decade. I should not have to leave because of someone who barely even works in my department. Give me a break. I just want to recover in peace and get back to the normal life. But Madison seems so determined to make this into some kind of moral battleground for weight loss surgery I didn't even have. So, my question for you guys is this. Am I the a-hole?